Welcome back to the Brojo Online Podcast. Today we're going to talk about how to win at everything. Next tip, have a high failure rate. If you have a low failure rate, you're playing it way too safe. I think a failure rate of about 80% is probably a good indicator that you're at the right level. So if you're a martial artist and you're losing 80% of your fights, you're probably in the right class, right? Because you get it right by getting it wrong. The way to become really good at something is to get it wrong all the ways it can be gotten wrong so that you never get it wrong again. You know, you got to get in your reps and work out every single possible error so that you can see the fundamental design, you can see the matrix underneath the thing, and then you'll be unstoppable. Like somebody who applies this to, say, building a business, like they're willing to get rejected by clients more than they'll get accepted and so on and so forth. They're the person that by the time they're successful, they're unbreakable. They could rebuild their business from scratch overnight. They would always be good at business for the rest of their life because they've gotten it wrong every way it can be and they'll never do it again. Whereas people who try to get it right all the time usually just stay in a very safe little comfort bubble, which means no growth. And eventually it means death because things that aren't going up are always going down. So if you're not failing a lot, you're actually going backwards. You just won't feel it straight away. Right now I'm doing it in chess. I've set the settings on my online chess app to put me against people who are better than me. So I quite often lose. When I'm playing against people who are better than me, I quite often lose. But when I'm playing against people the same level as me, I quite often win. Because I'm constantly practicing against people who are better than me. And you can, in the app, you can analyze your games, and I don't analyze the ones I win very often. Sometimes I do just for glory. But most of the time I'm trying to analyze the ones I lost. Why did I lose? I want to learn all the ways you can lose, all the mistakes you can make, all the blunders you can make, all the wrong moves, so that I don't make them. When I see that I win, I don't really learn much other than the other guy made mistakes, right? I want to learn how to stop making mistakes because, you know, chess is a great representation of all life. Chess is really, you lose by making mistakes. You don't win, you lose. So in chess, it's always somebody lost, not somebody won, if that makes sense. You're just going to make less mistakes than the other guy and you win. And that's so often, whenever I analyze my chess games, whoever won is the guy who made the least mistakes. That's every time the case. So, make the most mistakes so you end up being the person who makes the least. Next tip, you've got to get the right coaches and mentors. I've already talked about getting coaching, but these should be niche-specific experts with verifiable results that can be repeated, and they should be good at passing on that information. All right, not everyone is a good teacher. You know, Magnus Carlsen is the top chess player in the world at the moment. But when I try to follow his teachings, it doesn't really help me because he's kind of a genius. Even he doesn't really know how he does stuff, right? But you go a couple of levels down and you get the guys who got there by learning, not by being sort of talented, and they can tell you exactly how they got there and they can tell you exactly what you're doing wrong when you do your moves because they've made all those mistakes themselves and they had to learn it. So you want to look for the person who can translate great experience and true success into practical principles that can be applied by anyone. Right? Those are the kinds of people that need to be your mentors. They need to be a proven success and they need to know how to translate that into a set of principles that other people can follow. Next tip, have a supportive peer circle and connections. Ruthlessly eliminate anybody who doesn't lift you up. I'm talking even people who are just neutral. Get rid of them, create space for better people. Assume everyone has a big impact on you. Everyone you have any sort of interaction with, they have a big impact on you. Whether you consider yourself to be resilient or not, you can't help them manipulating the way your brain is wired. Their information enters your brain, pathways are created, it's all out of your control. So if those are negative, if those are people who are discouraging, pessimistic, unhelpful, you won't be able to block the effect they have on you. It's literally not possible to interact with someone and block the effect that they have on you. The interaction is in itself an effect. So you want to make sure if you're being affected by people, it's good effect. You want to be around people who build you up. Alright, it should feel like your quality of life improves when you're in their presence. If it doesn't feel like that, ditch them. One of the greatest ways I saw this play out is I actually went to a dating coach house in Vegas. I was staying there temporarily to hang out with my publisher, and he lived in a house because he was a dating coach at the time, and he lived in a house with all these other dating coaches. And every morning they all have their own little side businesses and everything, and every morning they sit around the kitchen table working on their laptops, and like every 5 minutes or so, like, how do you do this? Or you should do that. Well, good job with that. And they're constantly working together as like a team, like fucking Navy SEALs, to achieve their own individual things together as a team. And I was sitting there, I'm like, this is a house. Like, this is just flatmates. And holy shit, they're fucking like ruthlessly efficient. They're just so helpful. Like, this is like this inner circle thing happening here. Like, nobody stands a chance against the combined power of this group. And I was looking at them like, that is a friend circle. That's what you want around you. Right? And I'm not just talking about like they're all trying to succeed in business, but they went and hung out together, they ate together, they chased girls together, whatever it is they did. They were this team. And being around them made you a better person. Next tip, going against the grain. I got this from uber successful marketer Eben Pagan. If everyone else is doing it, it's probably wrong. That's a general business kind of cliche that I've found proven to be very, very true. The majority of anything is usually in the wrong because they're the majority. And the majority generally is a kind of momentum of leaders and followers, and most of the followers don't really know why they're in the majority. They're just following. People who are doing what's best always begin as outliers. They're always weird freaks. It's only later that everyone follows them because it turns out they knew what they were doing. You know, when cryptocurrency first came out, people were giving it away. Now it's, the amount they've given away is worth billions. They were the freaks, and now they've moved into the center. Now it's going to become normal to have cryptocurrency. It used to be having tattoos made me stand out. Now I walk around and it's weird to not have tattoos, right? The weirdos end up becoming the leaders. And what everybody else thinks is usually either wrong or behind. Like if you're reading the news to get information on the housing market, you're already too far behind. The news is behind. Right? Ask any property investor. They're not looking at the news to get their information about properties. They've got other sources. They're more up to date. If I look on the internet for what's happening in the coaching world, most coaches, or at least the products aimed at them, talk about marketing online. That's not what the best coaches in the world do. Okay? That's what a few successful coaches do. But the best coaches in the world you don't even hear about. They don't have a website. They charge fucking 20 grand an hour to work with them, and they reach out to you one-to-one. Alright? You don't even get to talk to them unless they invite you. Right? They're doing something different to what every other coach is out there trying to do with fucking Facebook advertising or whatever bullshit they're trying to do that doesn't work. So in general, you'll know you're probably doing something right if it A, works, and B, isn't the way everybody else is doing it. Next tip. Get lots of feedback, but get it from reliable sources, and dismiss feedback from unreliable sources. If you're in business, get your feedback from your clients and your business mentor and no one else. If someone isn't paying you for your business, their feedback is bullshit. You'll get a lot of feedback running a business from people who have not spent $1 with you. Ignore it. Go to the person who spent the most money with you and get feedback from them. That's going to be valuable feedback. Social life. Find the people who like you and ask, why do you like me? What's good about me? What do you think of my strengths? Don't go to people who don't like you for feedback, right? If you've got a discouraging mum that's always kind of secretly hated you, don't listen to a word she says about how you should be. Right? Go find the person who's been your best friend no matter what you've gone through. They're the person who give you feedback on yourself. You want to get healthy. You go to a fucking athlete who used to be fat and fix that permanently, and you ask, how did you do it? You don't go to the obese dude who you've been flatting with, who spends all his time eating chips and smoking weed, and go, what do you think I should eat? Right? Go to people who are proven, who know what they're doing, who have your best interests at heart, who have been through the trials and tribulations that you're going through. They understand, they have empathy. Not the people who are unsuccessful and opinionated. For example, like on my YouTube channel, I always get negative comments here and there. And I quite often get them from people where if I look into the person, I'm like, why do I care what this person thinks? They're never going to be one of my clients. Whenever I look at the feedback from my clients, even if it's critical, it's very, very helpful. And most of the time it's positive, which is also helpful. It helps me know what I should do more of, right? When someone who's never paid me $1 says that my stuff is shit, I might as well just delete it. There's nothing for me there. This person, I'll never work with them even if they like me. So what's the point of their feedback? Next tip, if it's too hard, make it smaller. I don't know why people try to pressure themselves into doing something that they can't do yet. That doesn't make any sense. Make it something you can do yet. It's what I call quantum parts. If a thing you're trying seems too big, make it smaller. Still seems too big, make it smaller again. Make it smaller to the point where you can do it, and then move to the next small step. For example, when I'm learning dance tricks, so a trick in dancing is like those acrobatic moves you see sometimes. Somebody getting flipped over the shoulders or spun around. Anytime where both feet come off the ground for one of the people, that's called a trick. And some of these are really fucking hard to do, and you get injured a lot and stuff practicing them. And we used to always try and do quite extreme ones because we just like it. What I found is you have to break the trick down into all these small parts and practice all the parts by themselves before you put them together. If you try to do the whole trick all at once, you just end up sort of cracking your partner's head on the ground. So, for example, if I had one where my dance partner would kind of go up around my shoulders and come back down, we'd spend a whole day on her just sort of like coming up to one shoulder and back down, up to one shoulder and back down, because that's all we could do successfully. So we'd do that until we were bored. We could do it so well. And then it'd be up to one shoulder and up the top and then back down. And so on. We just broke it down to parts until we could do all the parts successfully, rather than trying to do the whole trick over and over again and just failing and injuring ourselves. Next tip. Pressure is resistance. If you want to do well at something, you have to create a pressure-free environment. For some reason, we believe that pressure is helpful. That if we put pressure on ourselves to get things done, that somehow helps us get them done. What we don't realize is that all those things we got done were in spite of pressure, not because of it. Pressure slowed us down. Pressure created resistance. Pressure made our results worse. Getting it done shouldn't be credited to pressure. There's so much research that shows now that if you're having fun, you are more productive than if you're serious and under pressure. So you have to find what you're doing. You have to find a way to make it fun. Whenever I'm working with coaches, I don't do this very often, but I sometimes train other coaches. The key message I try to get across to them is that building relationships and serving people has to be fun for you. If you can have fun making other people's lives better, you will succeed as a coach. If you do that seriously, if you do it all under high pressure to make money and all that, not only will it be really needy and unsuccessful, but you won't enjoy it. You'll be very unproductive. So it only makes sense to try and make what you're doing fun. If you don't like the kind of exercise you're doing, change the kind of exercise you're doing. Right, if you don't like going to the gym, then try rock climbing or martial arts. Do something that you enjoy as exercise. If you don't enjoy exercise, you're not going to keep it up and you're probably not going to be productive. A classic example for me is I changed dating into just hanging out. I enjoy hanging out with people, but dating was very high pressure. So I eliminated dating and I just made it I'll hang out with whoever I want to hang out with. And I didn't try to go on dates. I didn't do anything I wouldn't normally do. I'm not like, let's go out to dinner at a restaurant, which I never did back then anyway. I'd be like, oh, let's go to the pub for a drink because I was going anyway and you can come. And I eventually met my wife through dancing. So rather than trying to date, I just went dancing because that was a great way to socialize. And now I'm with a woman that I met there. I made socializing fun by making it dancing rather than making socializing this high pressure thing that I had to perform at. Next tip, make integrity the reason why you do things. This is maybe actually the most important thing. Outcomes are just like a fun side effect. If you get what you want, yay for you, you'll enjoy it for a little bit and then the feeling will fade. It's just like a little perk, a little taste. What you really want is the reason you do things to be rewarding in and of itself. If you try to make outcomes the reason you do something, not only will it be ineffective, but often quite unenjoyable because you only get these spikes of reward when you actually get the outcome and the rest of the time just feels like hard work. Whereas actually if the process is enjoyable, you won't even really care much about the outcomes. For example, I used to chase girls with dating, and that was always just high pressure, unenjoyable, and very rarely successful. When I focused instead on practicing honesty and courage with girls, so the primary reason I spoke to girls was to see how honest and bold I could be. I got to enjoy all the interactions, and I was actually more successful with women. Okay? So trying to get laid didn't work, but trying to be bold as fuck to impress myself really did. Right? I get why Pete Davidson does so well with women. Alright? He's not trying to get laid, he's trying to be Pete. It works very well for him. So if you make integrity the reason you do anything, if you're starting a business, going to the gym, have an integrity-based reason. Courage, honesty, responsibility, discipline, respect, whatever it is that gets you off. Do it for that reason, and the outcomes will just be a side effect that kind of add a perk but aren't even really necessary. Next one, sustainability. Whatever you're doing must be able to keep on working without you burning out. Okay, if what you're doing requires big holidays and rest periods and you can't keep it up every day, then you're not doing it right. It needs to be something you can do day in, day out, over and over and over and over again without getting tired. Right? Real success comes from cumulative, sustained effort. It doesn't come from a short burst followed by a big crash. Okay, which is how most people approach things. You want to be able to do it so you never need a weekend, you don't need holidays, you don't need a break. You're always living in a way that's easily sustained. I've got a whole podcast about how to do this. I call it something to do with relaxation. How you can relax by just changing the activity you're doing. So you always feel relaxed, but you're always doing some activity. Like something you can keep going on and on. If whatever you're doing doesn't work like that, it needs to change. A great example is I work about 4 or 5 hours a day. I could do more, but then I need a big break. If I do 3 to 5 hours a day, I can keep working like this for the rest of my life. No matter whether I'm sick or anything, I can do that amount. But if I do 8, 9, 10 hours a day, I need my weekends off. I need big crashes. I need fucking catch up later on. I need holidays because I burn out. Last tip, measurement. If you don't measure yourself properly, you will not make good progress. And most people do not measure themselves well, if at all. The numbers don't lie. You need to find a way where the measurement tells you exactly what's happening, no matter what you wish was happening. A measurement that doesn't lie to you. Something numerical, some sort of numbers that tell you exactly what's really going on. And it's something you need to check often. You need to measure yourself as often as possible. And if it doesn't work, if the measurement says this isn't working, it needs to be a system that you trust well enough to ditch whatever it is you're doing without that kind of sunk cost fallacy where you keep going. It's something that sucks. For example, let's say you're in a marriage. Every day you should rate out of 10 how satisfied you feel being with your wife. Right? How good is it to be in this marriage? Now those numbers should go up and down if you're being honest. But what you find is if you're writing a lot of 2s and 3s for a sustained period of months, that's a marriage that needs to end. Whereas if you're kind of writing a 7 to 10 on average for many, many months, that's a marriage that should keep going. A great example for me was I used to use Facebook and my blog to try and reach out to new clients. So I was doing a lot of posting on Facebook, doing a lot of blog writing. And then I went and I analyzed all my clients, where all my money had come from, and said, where does the most money come from? And it was not Facebook, it was not blogs. Okay? It was me reaching out to people one-to-one, serving them. It was podcasts, it was videos. As much as I wanted to fart around on Facebook and write blog posts, that wasn't helping my business. So I ditched it, and now I do this stuff more often, because the numbers just don't lie. Most people, the reason they're unsuccessful is they don't realize they're unsuccessful. They don't realize that what they're doing doesn't work very well because they're not measuring it properly. Find a way to measure that tells you the truth, and then use that measurement system as a guiding book. Follow it. If it says it's not working, stop doing it. If it says it is working, double up on it. I'm sure there's many more tips. And wherever you're seeing or reading this or hearing this or whatever the fuck, write down your comments below as other tips that you think work, and we'll share this stuff around as much as possible. And of course, if you want more one-to-one personal type help with this, get in touch, dan@brojo.org. My voice is running out now, so I'll see you later. Cheers.